So hi everybody. Yeah, so my name is Jamuna and Jaya. I often say I don't come to the Brooklyn Temple often. Every time I'm here, though, I'm like, I gotta come back more often, and I'm gonna swear it again because upstairs is really the first temple I ever went to. Actually, those are the first beautiful deities that I ever saw. I mostly hang out at the Bhakti Center. I call myself the Bhakti Center Bodega Cat. You guys know a bodega cat, right? Is that cat that's just always around. No one know who really invited it in, but it can't get rid of it. So my secret mission is I insinuate myself into every service at the Bhakti Center. So sometimes I'm at reception. Sometimes I'm teaching yoga, and then the last few years they've really let me infiltrate. I'm at the altar. Dun, dun, dun. So I see a couple of familiar faces. So anyway, so the name of this talk is called The Good Monkey Mind. The Good Monkey Mind. So raise your hand if you've heard the expression monkey mind. Who's heard the, yeah, good. And what would you say it means? When you've heard that? What do you?
It's intrusive thought.
Yes. It's like, yeah, it's like the mind that's doing round and round and round and round. And I either use that or what I say about my mind, I say is this. My mind is like a squirrel on cappuccino. That's what I'm like, "Rrr." So, I feel the earth move under my feet. So there's that monkey mind, and that's the mind that we try in so many ways to calm. Because I like the way you put it. It's intrusive thoughts. It's like I think of it like a snowball. You know, like a old-fashioned cartoon, and it shows a tiny snowball at the top of a hill, and somebody's running. And as the snowball is coming in, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And that person's like, but eventually the snowball like rolls over them, and then you see the person in the snowball going, bah! That's what the monkey mind thoughts does. So that's that kind of monkey mind. But I'm not going to talk about that monkey mind. I'm going to talk about a monkey mind. Wait, I have a little visual aid. I'm going to talk the monkey mind that belongs to this guy. Yes, and also, I have 7 shirts, but I felt inappropriate to wear a shirt because then I'd be looking to point there. But I can show you on my back, though, because that looks more appropriate. This guy. And that is Hanuman. And so I'm gonna tell some stories, walking through some of the amazing adventures of Hanuman and the lessons that we can learn from this very, very wonderful soul. And the first lesson is he's not actually a monkey. He's not a monkey. We call him a monkey because, as you can see, he's got. Who's seen like a picture or something of Hanuman before? Like a lot of you have, yeah. And oftentimes he's like holding up a mountain. Sometimes this can look a little freaky. He's taking his hand and literally opening up his chest. Yeah. Oftentimes he's like this. So the thing is, he kind of looks like a monkey, doesn't he? He got a face like a monkey. He's a tail, but he's actually not a monkey. He's a different kind of race of beings called Vinaras. And so that's one of the first things we learn about, I think, a lesson about Hanuman is that we sometimes judge by appearances. You know, we look and say, oh, monkey, right? And we look like, and probably most of us in this room at a certain point have been judged simply on the way we look. And I think it's crazy because the way we look is a lot of times the furthest thing from what we are. There's a story actually from the Jewish folktale tradition that is about this guy who's like a sort of a shapeshifter. And he's walking down the street and he sees a house where there's a wedding going on. And the father of the bride is standing on the steps and he's saying, come one, come all, for all are welcome. Come to the wedding day of my only daughter. Come in, everyone is welcome. And this shapeshifter guy is watching, and everybody that walks up the steps, the father of the bride is welcoming in. But the shapeshifter says, well, I'm going to do a little test. I'm going to see if he means it when he says all are welcome. So he changes shape and he changes clothes into the clothes of a really dirty, poor beggar. Like all of a sudden his teeth are missing, he's covered in dirt, his clothes are ripped up, and he comes, hi, I want to go into the wedding. And the father of the bride is like, nope, no, go away. And the shapeshifter then changes again, and this time he looks like a king with a turban with jewels and rings on his fingers and holding a golden stick. And this time when he walks up to the father of the bride bows to him. And he lets him into the wedding and he gets him to sit, at the dais with all the family. And when the meal came out, the shapeshifter does a really interesting thing. Instead of putting the food in his mouth, he puts it in all the pockets of his clothes. At the end of the meal, the father of the bride's a little pissed off. He's like, this is expensive food and you didn't eat any of it. And the shapeshifter says, well, I'm just giving the food to who you invited in here today. And the father of the bride said, that's ridiculous. I invited you in and you didn't eat any of it. And the shapeshifter says, no. You see, I came here a little earlier, dressed as a beggar, and you didn't let me in. But when I came back looking like this, you bowed to me, you gave me your finest food. So I figured, since I'm the same person, and only my clothes have changed, what you actually invited in and what I wanted to feed were the clothes and not me. And like that, the shapeshifter disappeared. And even though he was gone, everybody in the room could hear his voice saying over and over, because you kept saying all were welcome, but you didn't really mean it. Right? And so that's one of the things, has anybody read Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink? Right? It's all about the assumptions that we make in a blink of an eye. And most of the time, they're wrong. Right? They're wrong. I mean, it's human nature. We all have these, we call it conditioning, right? But that's one of the things that I was just thinking right off the bat, calling Hanuman a monkey is really points out that we do that all the time. We judge people by literally, since we're talking here about us being a soul, when you think about this layer of epidermis is probably the furthest thing from what I actually am. And our appearance, this physical appearance in this meat suit, as somebody calls it, is literally the furthest thing from what we are. So that's one of the first lessons that I wanted to bring forth, because we miss a lot when we judge anybody by just the external or what they sound like. Yeah, it's not usually right. Now, so second lesson that I wanted to talk about is Hanuman is very unusual. We were talking about family a little earlier. Hanuman's very unusual because he has 3 daddies. Hanuman answer the question, who your daddy? Well, give me a minute. So he's this race of beings called the Varna, and he's a very wonderful Varna daddy who is rippling with muscles. As you can see, he's kind of cut. Right? In other pictures of him, he's got a 6-pack and biceps and stuff like that. So this race of beings is very, very strong, and they too have sort of shape-shifter qualities. They can make himself big, they can make himself big. So he's a dad like that. But then also he has 2 other fathers. Now, this next part I have to figure out. I was trying to figure out how to say this delicately. We will say the seed of Hanuman comes from Lord Shiva. And everybody knows who Lord Shiva is. If people don't know anything, I would say Shiva is the bad dude. I would say if Lord Shiva was alive today, he'd be living on the Lower East Side. He'd have a sleeve, right? Wouldn't it? You would see him. He'd be walking, and no one would pay him any mind because he looks like it. He'd have a sleeve of tattoos, and as it is, when you look at Lord Shiva, talk about ripped. He's He's got what's called snakes around his neck. He's got dreads. His hair's in an updo. Got this sort of blue throat. That's a story for another day. Has the moon in his hair. So the seed of Lord Shiva is carried on the wind, and the Lord of the Wind is Lord Vayu. And so Lord Vayu is also known as Hanuman's dad. So he's got this dad that kind of looks like him, big and powerful. He has the seed of Lord Shiva, which is, Lord Shiva's called Mahadev, the best of all the demigods. What I always love about Lord Shiva is that one of the things, talk about to my first point, Lord Shiva doesn't judge by appearances, not at all. When you see Lord Shiva, he's always surrounded by, quite frankly, the oddest looking people. People that just came out of the crematorium, they're covered with ash and bones. And Lord Shiva's like, it's all good. His wife at one point, well, you imagine this guy, let's talk about how I just described Lord Shiva. And while we all think he's cool, his father-in-law was not so much. Let's put it that way. And Lord Shiva's wife gets very mad at her dad. And she says, what kind of person are you? She says to her father. There are people that see the smallest amount of bad in a person and they blow it up. And Lord Shiva does the exact opposite. He doesn't even see the bad. He sees the good. It's what my guru, His Holiness Dandadhara Swami, always says. He says he sees the person's inspired side. And what my Guru Dev always says is that when you appreciate something, you know what happens? It appreciates in you. I don't know much about money because I don't have any, but I understand. I understand this thing about appreciation. I don't have any factual knowledge about this. What I do for a living is cool, but I don't make no money. Right? But when we appreciate good qualities, they appreciate in other people. And it also, I always think of it builds a bridge. When I appreciate a quality in someone else, it builds a bridge for that quality to walk into me. Because you know what happens if the opposite is true. Yeah. Then those bad qualities walk in. So that's his dad. That's one of his dads. So I think having those three dads is a really good meditation for us to think about all the people in our life who have fathered us or mothered us. Like we stand on the shoulders of so many people. I always think, I too, in a way, I have three dads. I have Mauricio and Pasquale, my wonderful father, who no longer walks this earth, but was an amazing father to me, of which I get my stature and my weird pointy elbows and my flat feet. But my father, both my mother's still alive, but they taught me about piety. Like, my parents' center of their life was St. Clement Pope Church. And to this day, my mother is there 4 times a week. My parents taught me about piety, and they taught me about service. And then when I was 13 years old, I met I was a professional dancer for a long time. I met a man named Kostas Andropoulos, a.k.a. Gus Andros, who was my ballet teacher. And he was actually exactly 2 weeks younger than my father, as it turned out. And he became my guide until he passed away about 15 years ago. He was a second father. And then, of course, I took initiation in this beautiful lineage. And so I have a spiritual father, His Holiness Dandadhara Swami. And, of course, I have Srila Prabhupada as my grandfather. So we all have those people in our lives. And the comedian Chris Rock, who speaks truth, that's why he's so funny, because he says the things that people don't often say. And so one time he was talking about, you guys know there's this weird thing on television called Shark Week. Yeah, it's now grown into a month. A month of like weird things like Sharknado, of sharks flying through the skies and eating people. So he said, why is it that sharks get a full week and your mama gets 1 day? Right. Why does your mama get 1 day, 1 Mother's Day, 1 Father's Day, 1 Earth Day, and goodness knows, 1 day for giving thanks? And we don't even do that. We stuff our faces and watch football in America, right? So it's a good meditation to remember all the people, and especially if they're still walking this planet with you, to take the time to remember the people who have parented you. And sometimes they're most interesting people. It may be even your elders. There's so many people that are in our lives that have taught us things. So that's another lesson that I think about with Hanuman. But then the thing is, Hanuman, that's what we know him as, but he didn't, like a lot of people in all these stories. In fact, myself, I have several different names, but that's not the name he was born with. Right? His name was Maruti, originally when he was born. And anybody follow the exploits of Punch the Monkey? Was anybody following that? Yeah, so Punch the Monkey is this little monkey. For those that don't know, in Japan, there was this little monkey that was abandoned by his mother. And so the poor little thing, and so then they put him in the zoo, and the other monkeys are just horrible to him. They're like pushing him around like a little orphan guy, but then they gave him a stuffed monkey, of which, side note, I actually have the same kind of stuffed monkey that they give. Mine is little. I didn't bring it to, I think last time I gave this lecture, I have a small one. My husband's like, that monkey from IKEA that you have. They're giving it to Punch. So like, but you see the monkeys. They're jumping around and whatnot. And unfortunately, poor Punch was on. I mean, in one way, they gave him the name Punch. I mean, like when you say Punch the monkey, I think they were taking it literally. It's a poor little thing. But you see the activity level of the monkeys. They're bouncing all around and stuff like that. Well, think of that, but also think of these special magical beings. They're like a billion times more active, a billion times more spunky, and a billion times more acrobatic. When you watch monkeys, it's actually quite beautiful. They're swinging. I have really long arms, so I can do this really well. They're swinging from side to side to side to side. And one day, little Hanuman's sitting there, being all spunky, but also getting really hungry. And I know about this as little boys. I have 3 older brothers, and I would just see them turn ravenous. And in a second, I was like, we must eat, So all of a sudden, Hanuman looks up, and he sees the most delicious thing. He sees a great big mango in the sky. Yeah, there are a few things better than a good mango, I tell you, right? But it's not actually a mango. It's the sun. But this little guy is like, mango! In a way, little kids, when they want something. So he bends his little knees and he jumps into the air. So remember, you get a regular monkey, but he's like 50,000 times, faster and stronger. So he starts flying through the air. Mango! And I always like to think of it in slow motion. Mango! Whoa, 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 whoa. And the son's like, whoa. But now at the same time, there's this other personality. Check it out. I love these stories. That on a particular day, this other personality, it's their turn to eat the sun. Like, I like hot food, so I'm like, but that's extreme. Like, I actually put the sun in my mouth. So this other personality named Rahu sees little Maruti's mango, and he's like, wait a minute, that little upstart, that can't eat the sun. Today's my day to eat the sun. What are we going to do about this? And so there's this guy named Indra. Indra is the god of rain, but he's also king of all the demigods. Check it out. He doesn't ride, he rides on a giant elephant. A sky elephant. I always love that. Welcome to Air Elephant. Strap yourself down. There's plenty of room in the trunk. Get it? So Indra's like flying by and said, that's not right. And Indra takes this lightning bolt and he throws it at little Maruti. And it hits him right in the jaw. And it breaks his jaw, and he goes, again, good time for slow motion, falling to the ground. Boom, 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 boom.
I want to know if anyone can guess your profession. Anyone here can guess your profession? Any guesses?
Any guesses? I'm an accountant. No. No, I'm a yoga teacher too, but I'm also a professional clown. Yes, that is right. Yeah. I clown in hospitals for children. So now it all makes so much more sense now, right? And this is really funny. I've always worn all orange. I've always worn head to toe as a clown. So one time my guru Dave was saying something. I said, Maharaj, I own more orange clothing than you do. Yes, I have a very wonderful, it's another story for another day, how that profession led me to so many things, but that ultimately is what led me here, actually. But so he falls to the ground. Now remember, Vayu, the Lord of the Wind, is one of Hanuman's dads. Raise your hand if I have parents in the room. Do I have parents? Yeah, okay. All right, let me ask, what's your name? Heather. Okay, Heather. Would you rather you get hurt or your child get hurt?
Me get hurt.
Exactly. You don't want to see no parent wants to see that. It's worse, right? So there's Viola Lorder was like, my kid just got smacked upside the head with a lightning bolt, jaw broken, is lying on the ground. He angry. And you can imagine, so the Lord of the Wind means he's in charge of air. So he sucks in all the air. Okay, this isn't a hard one. Guess what happens when there's no air on the planet? Yeah. So everything starts to wither up and die, and they're all writhing and writhing and writhing. And even the demigods are going, this ain't right. Hey, Bayo, stop it, take it back. Go blow the air, bring back the air, breath the air. But he's mad. Because his child was hurt. So he said, all right, I'll bring it back, but you guys gotta give me something. And they're watching everything wither up and say, okay, what do you want? And he says, I want my little son to get some of the power of all the demigods. So all the demigods line up and give Hanuman a little bit of their power. So now imagine, how many people have seen the Avengers movies? Anybody? Yeah, right. Imagine Hulk, right? Captain America, Iron Man, Black Widow. Who's the dude with the bow and arrow? Hawkeye, right? Imagine them all rolled into one being. That's now Hanuman. So remember, he's still actually pretty young, so he's still a kid. You imagine like having a kid with that much power? It's like, oh, there's trouble. Like, oh, good. I power like the sun god. I power like the wind god. I power like this. And so all the demigods are going, oh, okay, problem. Out of control child. So now he has all these powers, but this is interesting. But he also has a little bit of a curse to forget he has the power until just the right moment. And so we think that that's something, there's a lesson in there for us. We are more than we think we are. His Holiness Rananath Swami once said this. He said, we think we are the chained up rusty bikes that are chained to the side of the pole that nobody would want to steal. That's why you don't even need the chain. It's like you're confident no one's going to take that bike. But actually, we are the best car ever because we're this beautiful soul. One of my first teachers in Bhakti, Ganesham, said, if divine truth and divine love had children, it would be us. Yeah, we've just forgotten. We've forgotten. We've gotten so covered. So we think, I mean, these things are nice. These little meat suits are quite nice. But that's not actually who we are. We're something way better. So like Hanuman, we too have forgotten what we really are. And all these processes, all these practices are to remind us that we are a blissful soul that is eternal, ever knowledgeable, and the best one is the last one, inherently blissful. I think it's so interesting that, the thing that everyone's looking for, we already are. Raghunath Kapil was at the Bhakti Center last night. I missed him, but I always love when Raghu says this. He says, because we're running west looking for sunrises. Right? The sun doesn't rise in the west, it rises in the east. So we're running this way. We're running out there looking for bliss, looking for pleasure. But it's a setup. Because anything out there is what we call material. And it's temporary. Like, for example, where is it? This thing. Right? We're all hip to the fact that this is planned obsolescence, right? We all know. You walk into a store with a 5-year-old phone, they look at you like you walked on water. Like, oh my God. My husband kept his flip phone for way longer than any human being. And they were like, they were calling other people over. Look at this guy's got a flip phone. I've never seen one in person. Oh my God, let's take a picture of it. It's like, because that's the thing about the material world. It's a setup for suffering because we don't like, who likes to, oh God, my phone's out. Now I gotta go to the store. And I gotta get all the new apps on. And we don't like it when things change. When things are broken, when things are, worst of all, when we think it's going to be really good and it's not at all. So that's why anything out there is a setup, right? And so we're running the wrong way if we really want to be blissful. We got to, like parents driving the car. I'm going to turn this car around, right? That's what we need to do. We need to turn the car around and go within. So Hanuman gets all of these powers. And one thing he's always had is he's such a pious guy. He's always like in his mind, I want to find my Lord. I want to find my Lord and I want to serve my Lord. And probably like everyone in this room, at a certain point, we're all seekers. I know I was. I was like, I was raised Catholic, and I wasn't feeling Catholic that much, and then went from this to this to this, to this, seeking. And I always knew when I, it's like when you see the truth that it's like, oh, there it is. And so one day Hanuman's sitting there, and he looks and he sees two men, and these men are so effulgent. They look like they're the sun and the moon walking down the road. And he's like, I've got to meet them. I think this is it. I think this is it. So he doesn't come like this, because even though he's forgotten all those other powers, he's still just by nature has some shape-shifting powers, remember. So he makes himself really, really little, and he makes himself look like a little holy man, a little Brahma, which I think is just like a little pocket size, so cute. And he walks up very politely to these two men. And these two men are Lord Ram and his brother Lakshman. Now, Lord Ram's story is this book called the Ramayana. Sometimes people pronounce it the Ramayana. And Lord Ram is an avatar of Lord Krishna. And when we see like Krishna there playing the flute, Krishna doing all this stuff with the gopis, Lord Ram is Lord Krishna playing king. I was in a rest stop on the highway, and they've got that store Burger King, and they had a whole pile of those paper crowns, and I really wanted one. My husband's like, no, stop it. But you know when a kid like really goes for it? They put in the crown, and like in my work in the hospitals for kids, I'm like, oh, princess, and I bow, and they're like, yes. Yes, I am, foolish clown. It's like, I always think like Krishna is playing the most bestest king. And Lord Ram he's just like, I was like, there's all political things, going on. So I'm like, Lord Ram for king. I want him to be my king. I want him back. I want his back. Lord Ram is just the epitome of being a good ruler. And one of my things my teacher always says, because he really embodies this ability to make the right decision for the people he's serving, even if it's not the best one for him, even if it's not the easiest one for him. And Lakshman, talk about a brother that's got your back. Lakshman, there's nothing he will not do for his brother. And so there they are walking down, and Hanuman comes and he goes, hello, you seem like two very beautiful, affluent people. Please tell me your story. And Lord Ram tells that his wife, the beautiful Sita, has been kidnapped, and they're looking everywhere for him. And as Hanuman speaks, his language is so beautiful that Lord Ram and Lakshman are like, who are you? We just met you, but your language and the way that you behave is so beautiful. We feel like we know you. We want to know more of you. And I think that there's a lesson in there, because Hanuman's speech is so beautiful, right? And speech in our great text, the Bhagavad Gita, it gives a high bar of what speech is. It says that speech should be truthful, but also beneficial and non-harming. Because I don't know about you, but I've often had people try to use the truth as a weapon, right? They weapon it like, what? I'm just telling you the truth. Like they've used it to be mean. It's like, what? No, I'm just telling you the truth. I'm a truthful person. This is how I roll, right? But we all know there's an old song that actually my ballet teacher used to sing. He said, it ain't what you say, it's the way how you say it. It ain't what you do, it's the way how you do it. Ain't what you say, it's the way how you say it. And one of the lessons there is there's so many Like I sometimes have to give feedback to my fellow clowns. Yes, it's a thing. Right. It's a thing. And and I know there's the truth of it, but I know everyone's different. And how I say it isn't just the facts, it's who that person is. Right? I'm a marshmallow. I need people to stroke me and tell me the good stuff first, and then let me have it. 8 years of Catholic school, and I was a ballerina. I've had enough people be mean to me in my lifetime. And clown school ain't no joke either. Hate to burst your bubble. Clown teachers can be straight up mean, just FYI. So I'm like, I'm one of those people like, yeah, tell me what I did right, and then tell me the room for improvement, right? So it's like that. We want to speak the truth. We do want to be truthful. But in this text, the Yoga Sutras, which is, the sort of the technical manual about this one particular system of yoga called Ashtanga Yoga, there's this list of ways to behave. Number one is called ahimsa, means nonviolent. And everything else, it said, has to defer to that. So that when we speak the truth, yeah, we don't want you to be big old liars, but defer to how you can see the truth and also be nonviolent. Because there's always a way, right? And a lot of it has to do with knowing who you're speaking to and knowing, quite frankly, where you are about things. And if your motivations are what I like to call clean, right? So his speech is that. Hanuman's speech is so sweet and so loving, and also Hanuman's language keeps what I think it keeps the vibe high. These days, it's so often to get into those conversations of the complain conversation, because let's face it, there's a lot of cray-cray and complaining we talk about. But I know, but you can have those whole conversations where everything's a complaint. And in fact, whole relationships could be based on like, oh, you're here, good. I want to complain about this. But do you feel what that does to you? I always feel like I want to throw up after. I feel like I've eaten something bad. And it's worse than eating something bad, because you've literally shaped your consciousness to be more like the complaint, right? So Hanuman's language is so beautiful that Ram and Lakshmana immediately let him into their inner circle and tell him that Ram's wife has been kidnapped. And Hanuman, he knows that he can see this is divinity. This is what I've been looking for. There are verses in the Bhagavad Gita that are called the nutshell verses. In the 10th chapter. And Lord Krishna says that he lights the lamp from within. He gives special mercy to people that want to find them. And it's often said, thank you for coming.
Thank you, we love that.
You're welcome.
By the way, I was going to say, I really resonate with the, not to take your thunder, but the three, the three father thing. Like, I feel like I'm constantly, as an Indian guy, always looking for surrogate fathers, you know? It's like, for me, three fathers still so ill behaved, but like I love that like notion, because it's like, you know, it's like having so many people can fill that role in your life.
Yeah.
Mother, anything. So thanks so much for like just being awesome and sharing all that.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Yeah, take it easy.
Namaste, now go play. So, diverted, sidetracked. Squirrel with cappuccino. Where was I? La language. Divinity, yeah. Yes, yeah. Divinity. So it's often said, I've always loved that when we're looking for divinity, it says that God, Krishna says, from within the heart, he lights the lamp so we can see, right? So it's often said that God gives guru, God gives a teacher. And what does the teacher do? Guru gives God. So in that moment, he's been seeking. And that little voice in his heart goes, this is it. What you've been looking for, booyah. And so in an instant, Hanuman says, I pledge my life to you. Let me serve you. I often love, my guru says like this when we take our hands together. He says that Like, let me use my hands in my life that I so often have used selfishly. Let me use them more selflessly. And that's what Hanuman does. And he says, I will help you find your Sita. And so he and a bunch of others of his kind, and one bear type person who's said to be one of the first creatures ever made, are searching everywhere. They search, they search, they search, they search, they search. And finally, they figure out where Sita is being held. She's being held by a 10-headed demon. Think about 10 heads. What are all those heads? What do the 10 heads represent? Who knows? Nah. Ego. Heads represent ego. Think about how big that ego is. Got 10 heads, right? 10-headed demon named Ravana. So, say India's here, and present-day Sri Lanka's over here. So there's not a bridge. There's not like an airplane. Like, someone has got to get over there to Sita. And so a lot of these other types of Vinaras that let Hanuman are like, we can jump, we can do it, we can, no, we can't. That's really far. I can't. And they all like think they can, but then they realize they can't. And Hanuman's so sad because he's made this promise, I will serve Ram, but I can't. I can't do that. I can't do it. Because he's forgotten all his powers. This is one of my favorite parts of the story. And so he no longer lives at the Bhakti Center, but when he walked in, I was like, oh, I love your name. He's the first Jambavan I've ever met, actually. So this bear-like person whose name is Jambavan, and we had a person who at the Bhakti Center, he looked like he looked like a big bear, didn't he? Like
the first time I saw him was in Mayapur, and he's a big guy.
He's a big guy.
And he was doing backflips
Yeah.
in the drama. He's a very big
He's
guy.
a yes.
And he was flipping in
Oh.
Bhakti Mark Swami's drama.
Yeah.
Whoa, I've never seen you look like a feather. Like
Yeah, he's
Wow.
he's back in South Africa, and somebody showed me a video, and he's doing a drama, and he's like kicking. Like when he came to take my yoga class, I was like, I'm gonna take it easy on the big fella. Didn't have to. No, he does the do. He does it. So this Jambavan, he comes over to Hanuman, who's like, oh, I can't. And he puts his hand on Hanuman's shoulder, and he says, Hanuman, remember who you are. And in that second, Hanuman remembers all of the abilities he actually has. And I love that part of the story because hopefully we've all had people that have done that for us, that have put their hand on our shoulders and reminded us, that have had our back and reminded who you actually are. And so there's no way, something Raghunath Kappa to like, this guy Raghunath Kappa, he was so instrumental in, again, my path. And I once went up to thank him. I'm like, Raghu, I really, really, really got to thank you. He goes, you're never going to be able to thank your teachers enough. All you can do is take what they gave you and try to give it. And so to all the people who have encouraged us, who have put their hands on our shoulders and said, you can do it. You can do it. The only way that we can ever pay them back is to do the same thing for other people. There's that old cheesy song, "The wind beneath my wings," like such a cheesy song. Oh my God, it's like Swiss cheese on toast. But that's what we need. It's like so cheesy. And I'm a good one for liking the schmaltz. Blah, blah, blah. I know. It's like, you know what I mean? So cheesy. And I'm normally the person who's like, oh, I love this. But that is even beyond me. So that's what we need to be. We need to be the wind beneath somebody else's wing.
That's me in elementary school thinking about my crush. And I had that song in my home.
Oh, see, I know it's such a good one. You're like, oh my God, the wind beneath my wing. So that's what we need to do. Elementary school crush. Darshan's having a moment. He's going back. He's going back in time. Little Darshan. He's gone back in time. Yeah, Bette Midler's singing it. Yeah, who I really love. So that's what we can do, and that's what we should do. like a repayment of all the people who've been there for us to be there for other people. So that's why, a few years ago when people started asking me to be their mentor, I'm like, oh, what am I? I'm literally a clown. Do you really want but I think about all the people that have mentored me and have been there for me, and I can't pay them back. So the only thing I can do is try to give what I was given. So Hanuman then grows ginormous. It's like whoo, 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 whoo. And he bends his little knees and he leaps. And remember, one of his fathers is Lord Vayu, the Lord of the Wind. So his father helps him a little bit by giving him like a tailwind, we'll say. Like he starts flying, 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 fly, fly. And so all of a sudden, this mountain sees, oh, Hanuman's working so hard. I'm going to rise up out of the sea and give him a place to land on. So this enormous mountain comes up. But Hanuman's like, no time for rest. I have to keep going. And there's a lesson in that. Sometimes it's really easy to sit back on your laurels like, yep, done enough today. Done enough in my spiritual life. Yeah, I read a book. People always ask me, what book did you read to know stuff? I'm like, book. Books. And every time I think I've read them all, like just this morning, the Darshan whipped down a new one I'd never heard of before. I'm like, there's another one. I'm like, when will I at least know all the books? Not gonna know them, but I'm like, every time I turn around, right? So there's no like rusting, like with anything. And we work so hard for so many things in our life, right? So hard. But our spiritual life sometimes gets the short end of the stick. It's like, yeah, I read a book. Yeah, I chanted. Yeah, I meditated for 5 minutes. Yeah, I did something like once a month. No, right? Hanuman doesn't rest on laurels. He keeps going. In this book, it's called the Nectar of Instruction. It talks about having enthusiasm and patience. And that's what we need to keep going. What you're enthusiastic about and what you have patience about, you will keep going. So he goes, nah, thank you. Don't need to rest on the mountain. And then he goes flying. But of course, when you're on some sort of spiritual journey, or really any journey, what inevitably happens is that there are tests. Tests rise up. I was just talking to somebody in my community group, in our spiritual book group, and she was saying, man, I love that she said that. She goes, I thought I had it. I thought I had the lesson, but then here comes another test. And but that's the nature of things. It's like, to quote that great yogi, Shrek, when he says, what does he say? Ogres are like onions, which is not a great word to use in here, but the analogy holds anyway. But like tests are like that. There's like the initial test, but then it gets deeper and deeper. Yeah, you got that one. Just like we could all hopefully pass the test of a first grader, right? I'm not so confident I could pass. My nephew Joey is in 6th grade math. I'm pretty sure I can't pass that test. All this new, you got to show your work thing. I don't know. Why can't we just memorize it? I cannot pass that test. But that's the thing. The tests keep getting tougher, harder. Yeah. So here come the tests. The first, of course, in these stories, it's always like the demons come. And there's one demon, she rises up. And I actually have a really cool, like, Japanese anime print of this moment that Janabi Pretty found for me. And it hangs in my home. It's really cool. And there's Hanuman leaping, and this big demon else comes. She goes, no one can pass unless they fly into my mouth. So she makes herself get big, and Hanuman makes himself get big, and she gets big, and he gets big, and she gets big, and he gets big, and she gets enormous. And then he makes himself really small, and he flies in and out of her mouth before she even knows what's happened. And so there's a lesson even in that. So sometimes in arguments, what happens? Oh yeah, and everybody's sticking out their chest more, and getting louder and louder, and more aggressive, more aggressive, more aggressive. But does that actually end the argument? No. When someone is brave enough, and I would dare say strong enough, to take the humble position, to quiet it down and go, okay, let's hear. Let's hear. I'm going to be quiet, and I'm actually going to hear you instead of just screaming. That's when something happens. The yelling and the more chest thumping only leads to more yelling and more chest thumping. So he's in and out of the mouth, he's flying. But here comes another demoness. Here it comes, getting big and big and big and big and big. And this time he gets small and goes right inside her. I always love, there's so much pulling out of guts in these things. And it pulls out her guts, and then from the inside out, cuts her in half. And so many times it's like I was thinking that the evil that's within us is like sometimes can do that. The bad feelings, they split us from the inside out. Like they often say that when people hear stories about demons, they're like, that's not true. That can't be true. But what's often said is that long ago, in a very, very different time, the demons didn't even live in the same planetary system as human beings because human beings are so pure. But after a while, humans got a little less pure, and they lived in the same planetary system. And then humans got a little less pure, and the demons lived in the same family. Not this family over here, obviously. And then people got really less pure, and guess where the demons live now? Inside of us. It's interesting, in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, it has the most dramatic title, The Divine and Demoniac Nature. Right? And it's interesting. It doesn't say divine and demons. It says demoniac nature. So it's not talking about somebody that has horns. It's the nature of a person. And it's things like, you can guess what they are. Pride, arrogance, all those things. Those are those qualities. Whenever I read that 16th chapter, I'm like, yep, demon. I guess, well, there we go. Where are my horns, my tail? Well, there you go. Every time I read that chapter, I'm like, well, and there you have it. Right? Every time. Right? So, but those are the qualities, and they will get us from the inside. They will get us from the inside unless we like, okay, so I'm a clown. You've probably seen clowns do that thing where they take something in their mouth and they keep pulling it. It's called a mouth coil. It's that, but it's like a giant mouth coil. Well, you take it and you pull it out. You take out all of the bad. That's what we're gonna do. So he flies. Wait, how am I doing on time? Okay, 5 minutes? Okay. I'm almost at the end. Okay. So he's flying and he lands and he makes himself really small again. And he looks everywhere and he finds Sita. And this is interesting because, oftentimes, everyone's been looking for Sita. Everyone. So this might have been a good moment to steal the show. He can make himself really big. Come on, Sita, I'm going to grab you. I'm going to fly back. It's going to be the Hanuman show. Looky what I did. But he doesn't do that. Well, first of all, she won't let him. She goes, only my husband's going to touch me. But he wouldn't anyway because he goes, I don't want to be the hero here. I'm just a servant of my Lord. I want my Lord to come in and show these people what's what. I don't need this win to make my ego bigger. And so he goes and he allows himself to be captured. And they tie him up and they look, every monkey they say is quite proud of their tail. And they set fire to his tail. But remember, one of his fathers is Vayu, Lord of the Wind. So Vayu does this cool trick. So he says the wind around so it doesn't actually burn him. And Hanuman, being a little mischievous guy, is like, okay, I let them play. I let them bound me up. I let them think that they're hurting me by setting my tail on fire. But then he gets a little pissed. He's like, these guys took Sita away from Lord Ram. And he busts free and he takes that tail full of fire and he burns. He burns down Lanka, this place where she's being held. And this is one of those times where he's often held up in this part of his story as having transcendental anger. He's pissed. And we know that anger is, a lot of times we're like, oh, anger bad. anger, but as one of forget who said it once in a class I was in not too long ago. She says anger is energy. That's what it is. It's energy, and it can be used like energy for good and bad. And in this case, he was using it for good. Yeah, these guys are bad. Get mad, Yeah, like the things I perform in an inner city hospital, so I've seen a thing or two. And I get a little angry that this is the world that these children are growing up in. When it's on the regular, I see kids that have suicidal ideations. That by the time they're 12 years old, they have had serious thoughts about killing themselves. It's okay. Get a little mad at that, and then do something about it. That's the thing. Hanuman just doesn't get mad. He does it, and he does it for the right reason. And so, anger is an energy. And he really shows, I'm going to do this for my Lord. And there are things that we can use this very particular energy to accomplish. So he flies back. And I found her. And everybody's super, super happy. Now, you may think that Hanuman knows it all and has no lessons to learn. But then in this part of the story, it's probably where I'll end with this. So here's India, here's Sri Lanka. Hanuman leapt, but Lord Ram has to take this great big army to fight the bad guy. Everybody can't leap, so they got to build a bridge. So Hanuman and his friends and the other bear-like guys are picking up these great big boulders, and they're making the bridge. And it is said, if you can see from there is like a natural like land bridge that you can see. That's part of it is still there that connects India with Sri Lanka. And so everybody's working really hard to build this bridge. And along comes, now depending on who's telling the story, it is either a squirrel, a chipmunk, or a spider. I say squirrel because I'm a New Yorker. So, but anyway, a fairly small being, right? Picking up a tiny little rock. And I do American Sign Language, so this is the sign for squirrel, literally. So yeah, like isn't it? It's great. It's like because that's my mind. So taking this tiny little rock and putting, and there's Hanuman picking up like boom, 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 and Hanuman's like, little squirrel, why don't you just sit down? We got this. We don't need your help. But Ram says, oh no, Hanuman, everyone can help. Everyone has a place. Everyone can have some service. And so that's a really important lesson for us because we can look at the world and think there's so much that could be done that we can't do it, right? It's easy to feel really helpless when you look at the news. It's like, what can I do? But we can all do something. We can all do something. And every little bit counts. And certainly Krishna says in one of the most famous verses of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, you can offer me a leaf, not leaves, a flower, not flowers, a drop of water, as long as it's done with devotion, with love. And that's important. And Mother Teresa says, most people can't do great things, but everybody can do small things with great love. Yeah. So I want to thank you so much for being such a wonderful audience. And again, my name is Jamuna Jaya. Bhakti Center Bodega Cat. You can find me there many days of the week, somewhere skulking around. Hare Krishna, thank you.
See if there's any questions.
Oh, any questions? Oh, okay. Oh, that's a big fuzzy mic.
So this mic just works for the phone, for the recording. But if anybody wants to share.
Any questions? Questions, comments, corrections, good jokes? I'm really good, Paul.
I am from India, from Chennai. It's Sri Lanka. My English will be like Indian English. So from India to Sri Lanka, I know that from Chennai where we live, it's hardly around, say about 50 miles. Once you narrated the story of Hanuman, I read Ramayana at least about 10 times. He is not dead.
Oh, no, he's not.
No. The Ram and Lakshman after finishing their incarnation, actually they are about to go to heaven. He called this Hanuman, how about you coming with me? No, I'll be in the earth, I'll be in the universe, listening to Ramayana. Whoever tells about Raman or Lakshman or Hanuman, he is present here. Believe it or not, the Hanuman is present here, he lives. We believe, we Hindu, we believe that he lives here. When you told me, I was looking at him. He listens to everybody, he listens to all audience. He blessed all audience.
Yay. Thank you for saying that.
Really?
Jai Hanuman.
Jai Hanuman. Thank you very much.
So,
you understand? I think you are also from?
Yes.
Yeah.
You believe it? He is already listened.
He's
No,
here.
he only made me to talk like that. I didn't talk on my own. The Lord Hanuman, no, he entered into me,
Yeah.
and then he wanted to tell you that he is present.
Yeah. Jai.
He is so great,
Yeah.
and you narrated so much. You know, really wonderful thing. I was only seeing him present physically. Still he is here. I'm not talking on my own.
Yeah.
It is his words.
He's here. Jai, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
He's here. Anybody else?
So it's not a question, just something that I want to share that I'm taking away from this.
Oh, yeah.
And I was so encaptured. Thank you so much.
You're good.
I love what you said about having so many powers or multiple powers, but you kind of forget until you need it. It's
Yeah.
needed. Something that I remind myself about over and over again, because I've done a lot in this lifetime. I've reincarnated a lot to the point where I'm like, oh my gosh, again. But I'm reminded of like little mantras and stuff such that I've given myself, but to hear it back is just confirmation. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're
I'm
welcome.
reminded that our brains are actually a lot stronger than we know, and we all have something that we can do. It's just a matter of a shift like this. So thank you for that shift, that shaking up of the brain and being like, oh wait, yeah, I remember that superpower that I had from
Yeah.
6th grade or 6 years old or whatever. That's what reincarnation means to me. It means to just kind of go back and see what is already there to make the best recipe. So thank you.
Oh, I like that. The best recipe.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of times around kids, and it's interesting. Around 12 years old, something happens to a lot of kids. That's when it becomes being about like everybody else. And they're desperate to be like everybody else, and then that's what I see. And then the kids, oftentimes the kids that I see on psych holds, they're different. They're the artists. They're spiritually focused. They're a little bit different, and they haven't found their people. And they're not like everybody else, and they don't know where to turn. And you know, you see they pick up social media, and everyone's doing this, everyone's doing that, and then they don't know what to do. I see it like literally every shift I'm in the hospital, and that's when we have to remember that, you know, there's something else. There's something else. Yeah. Thank you.
So thank you, Jamuna and Jaya. Thank you so
You're welcome.
much.
Jai
Everyone give
Hanuman.
a nice round of applause for Jamuna and Jaya. Hanuman.